And good evening, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the St. Albans Today Show, our August edition, Wednesday, August 2nd. It's a live show, at least if you're watching us live. I always appreciate phone calls at 527-6449. Happy to have three guests on the show. St. Albans Mayor Liz Gamache.
Good evening.
Mayor, good to see you, Mayor. Anna Bourdon, an old friend of mine back from radio days, a longtime public servant in St. Albans Town, the St. Albans Town Clerk Treasurer, Anna Bourdon. Anna, good to see you.
Good to see you, Rich.
And Bruce Cheeseman, the Selectboard Chairman in St. Albans Town. So you guys tell me, what's the hottest news story we should jump into here? Mayor, anything for me? Anything real hot out there today?
Well, you know,
besides the weather,
it's
pretty
Wednesday
hot day.
Evening, hot and steamy. We have a crowd gathering in the park.
Some good music on the park.
The Wednesday evening concert series has been very well attended. We've had some record-breaking
There have been good crowds. I've certainly caught some of that before, at least the sports show tonight. I didn't have much time, but there have been very good crowds.
Yeah, and you know, generally speaking, we've been seeing really good turnout for events around town. So I think, you know, it's summer in Vermont. We've got to take advantage when the weather's good. Yeah.
Bruce, hottest thing in St. Albans Town right now?
It's happening all over the place. I just drove by the Bay Park, and places got people in it. You know, people playing volleyball, people on the beach. People enjoying the new paved walks that we just put in. So people at the creamy stand. I mean, it's a typical summer evening here in St. Albans.
In fact, I talked to one of your staffers, and again, I have high praise for the Bay Park. They do a real nice job down there. Fortunately, Canada geese have been a bit of an issue.
They always have been.
All right, I was there for Sunset Monday night, and one of the young staffers walked by me, and I mentioned you might talk to the folks at Kilcare. You may know Kilcare has these blinking yellow lights that they put on, you know, near sunset, and specifically aimed at trying to keep the Canada geese away. I'm not sure. They seem to be, from walking around there a lot, seem to be fairly successful. So I mentioned that to the young staffer, and he said, yeah, maybe we should consider that. But
maybe you should talk to David McWilliams, because he's made several unsuccessful attempts to get rid of those birds.
All right, I will talk to David about that. Anna, any thoughts on Canada geese?
Kilcare, I think, purchased these fake fox.
No, they did do that also.
And we did as well.
Actually,
I noticed something in the park today.
Yeah. Good, I did mention that, because Kilcare has some of those also.
So we'll see if it works.
Interesting. Anna, give us how long have you been town clerk treasurer?
Well, I've been with the town since 1993.
Is that right? And then you were town lister, being your first spot there.
So town clerk 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a long time with the town.
It is a long time.
Your thought, flash back a few years here. I'm sure you're going to have good words for the town. You're not going to beat up on the town for which you serve, but I know you have very good words for the town. But a lot of changes. I mean, that's a fair amount. That's why we're talking 20. What am I talking about? Talking 24 years, if my math is right.
Well, there are changes, but everything pretty much still stays the same. I mean.
So not a drastically different place than when you first started working for the town?
There's more people there.
Yeah.
Prior to, I'm going back to Ernie Levesque. It was just...
Who could forget Ernie wearing his Walmart cap to the Walmart hearings, for which he got a ton of grief?
Yeah. So it was just him and the listers.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot.
Busy place. Obviously, you picked up a town manager. Yeah. Of course, you had a town administrator. Dan Lindley comes to mind.
And Jerry Myers. Yeah.
Jerry Myers.
Yeah.
But a busier place. What about your job? Is the job of town clerk treasurer, does that get ever more, complicated, busy?
I think it gets busier because there are so many more people moving into the town and the city. Yeah.
I've never been down there.
Now.
I've never been there when Anna was looking for something to do.
Not that I'm there much.
It's busy. I mean, St. Albans
City. Your assistant, you have a
and
good assistant who gives you a lot of help, obviously.
Yeah. And I work well with the city. Yeah. But both city and town, I believe, and I've always said this, they're the busiest in Franklin County.
Yeah. Well, they're obviously about the biggest.
Yeah. So
anyway, but you still like the job? You're still hanging in there.
The people
huh?
are great.
Yeah.
It's the people. Yeah.
Liz, let's talk about, boy, just I'm finally catching myself. Instead of going on Federal Street, sometimes I'll go off a street or two before. Again, talk about that. We've talked about it before, but part of that is alignment. But exactly, there seems like a fair amount of work going on there right in front of between the railroad building and one federal state office building,
so
Boston tailoring.
It will make that intersection better aligned and safer, easier to maneuver. And then as you go down Federal Street, as you can see, we're starting to do work on the road, the sidewalks as well. So so we'll see some good improvements in that area.
Was there some work? Was there some, I don't know, water sewer line work as well? Mm-hmm. Seemed like there was a while ago a fair amount of digging right next to one Federal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't recall.
But most of it's kind of just an alignment issue?
A lot of it was getting the intersection properly configured to accommodate traffic flows, and then the opportunity to do some of the sidewalk work. And
is there an end in sight to that particular project?
Yeah, over the course of the summer, it will continue, and it's moving along. Also, sidewalks moving along in the residential areas. So we'll continue to work on that for the next few months. What
about Fairfield Street? Is that there is work to be done? There's still work coming on Fairfield.
It won't be extraordinarily time-consuming, and that's scheduled for a little bit later, as I recall.
And this is just the final stage of the paving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And of course, Lake Street getting some attention. Looks like kind of question. I just came up Lake Street a little while ago. Talked to my old friend Julie King, who lives on Lake Street. You have a double white line. Put in double white lines on either side. Tell me about the double. So the bikers are supposed to go in the middle.
I think they're marked now. Not in the middle. But
why wouldn't they would want the bikers, I assume, closest to the sidewalk as possible?
Yes, they are. They're marked.
Oh, is that right?
There's little emblems.
But tell me, why do you need two white lines?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if you've noticed them, but I noticed that especially today.
I'm not sure. I ride bike.
No.
I'm used to one white line with the shoulder, but this is kind of a double white line. Just curious.
Well, maybe it's a cautionary type thing. If you go out of the left-hand line, you're into the line of traffic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about paving in the town, Bruce? What's going on this summer?
Well, we paved pretty close to 7 miles this summer, and most of it's underway. I think most of it is just about. A lot of it is just about done right now. I know they just finished Prospect Hill,
Orchard.
Orchard Street, and about the same that we do almost every year.
I know you folks have been giving sidewalks more thought. Is there any sidewalk work going on in the town at this point?
We do have a sidewalk plan right now. We finally got the sidewalk plan back to the Selectboard, and we're doing a final review on it, and it will be out to the public here real soon.
Yeah. Mayor, City Hall, the renovation, is that, I assume months ago that's 100% done, finished?
Yeah, it's done. We're, of course, really happy to be making City Hall accessible for community groups that want to use it. Part of the redesign, I think, enabled us to be more conducive to offering up, for example, the city council chambers for community meetings, different types of activities in the gymnasium area, and and of course we've got the conference room upstairs. We had an interesting event a couple weeks ago. You might have heard about the what was it called, the Better Angels tour, which was a national bus tour with facilitators who went to different towns.
So a national bus tour with a stop in St. Albans. Yeah,
they because of a couple of St. Albans residents who are interested in this group, and what they work to do is drive more civil conversations between people of different political views. So I was able to have a chance to connect with the facilitators, and then I also participated in one of the workshops. We had about 50 people altogether participate. There were 2 different sessions. One was a closed-door session, which I didn't participate in, which had people of differing political viewpoints working to listen more closely and understand.
There are people with different political viewpoints out there?
Believe it or not, yes. And willing to, so in all seriousness, willing to come together because, I think for many of us, we really have an interest in having better discourse, understanding, not necessarily agreeing, but how can we work to understand and find areas of common ground to move forward. And sometimes it's not going to happen, but how can we respectfully disagree? So so City Hall was where the workshops took place the day before, the hours before. Martha's Kitchen hosted a really lovely community dinner for all of the participants, and so it was kind of an interesting thing. We were, I think, the third or the fourth stop on the tour, and they left St. Albans and went on to other places.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, friends of ours rented it for a birthday party about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, City Hall.
And they had a pretty nice time. It was set up well. They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So you're getting some business for events like that at City Hall?
Sure, yeah. Requests for events. If people are interested in reserving either the City Council chambers or the auditorium, call the 524-1500 number. Kristen can help to see what the availability of the space is and make a reservation. And if you're thinking about it, I encourage folks to reach out sooner than later because it is becoming increasingly more popular to use.
Speaking of city stuff, is the city pool is still with us?
Yeah.
I just haven't focused on it, haven't thought about it, haven't read about it. But
so it is still with us, and this past weekend was the host of a very significant, the Swimming League hosted a competition that drew folks from far and wide. Yeah, hundreds coming into town for that with really great reviews, and I think a lot of folks coming in for the swimming event and then getting to know St. Albans a little bit as well. So that was a great success. Took quite a lot of organization, city volunteers, the swim team, ensuring there was adequate coverage for that. So a good way to put our best foot forward.
Of course, last summer was when the bikers from Quebec, that huge group of bikers camped out at Collins Pearly.
Yeah.
Was that a one-time, or do they go to different? They're not coming back this summer.
They're not coming back this summer, but
they go to different areas every year. I think.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sounded like that was a good event last summer.
Yeah, I was down at the Bay Park this weekend too, and I noticed that there were cars down there from probably license tagged from probably 6 different states.
Really? At the Bay Park?
At the Bay Park, and of course out of the Canada as well. But I found that to be pretty interesting. So the word must be getting out. The place is getting really busy.
I ran into a family that was visiting from Italy over the weekend, and I'm not quite sure how they discovered us, but they were having a really lovely time.
Yeah.
Of course, the lake level, I love the lake level being relatively high. It's finally now just dipping below 97 feet above sea level, but maybe a week or so, at one point when I went down to the Bay Park, I noticed the dreaded don't swim water quality issue sign, but I guess that didn't last long. I guess it was E. coli, one of the staffers said an E. coli issue over by nearby Black Bridge, but I guess that cleared pretty quickly.
Well, it's a little discouraging to see that sign pop up every now and then, but it's also comforting to know that somebody's checking it as well.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen, I think I went back the next night to check it was gone.
It was overnight.
It's been okay.
In both cases,
Okay since.
Yep.
Officially, it is officially the St. Albans Bay Town. I used to call it the St. Albans Bay Town Park, and I've just started dropping the town. What do you call it? It's officially the St. Albans Bay Town Park?
I just call it the Bay Park.
It sounds like that because your sign down there does have St. Albans Bay Town Park, but it seems like most folks, St. Albans Bay Park is good enough, I guess. Yeah. Of course, formerly the St. Albans Bay State Park, but no, your folks do a nice job down there. It's a nice park.
Yeah, we got some hardworking people. The youngsters that work down there during the summer are doing an awesome job, as well as the guys from DPW. Yeah. They're working with them. Putting the sidewalks in, keeping the buildings up. We've got the work going on the gates right now. We're replacing all the stone on the gate. Getting that back together.
I've noted that. Yeah.
And I have. I think, Richard, we might see a skating rink there this winter.
Oh, you mentioned that. Boy, keep talking about that.
Yeah.
That would be tremendous.
Yeah,
we are. Sure, I'll be using it.
Well, I've got the DPW director that we have right now, Alan.
Mr. Alan Matchtair?
Oh, he's hot on that one. He wants
really?
that. Oh, yeah.
Good.
Well, we've got it. Why not use it?
I mean, it seems like it shouldn't be that tough to pull that off.
Not at all.
Great idea.
Milton has one right by their municipal building. They've got a basketball courts, but the cement, whatever, the asphalt is kind of curbed up, so it's a pretty good area. But it looks like that's really easy to flood, and you've got a little backing that goes up maybe about that high.
Yeah.
But I hope you pull that off. That'd be great.
I'm going to stay on top of it.
Mayor Gamache, what about, we mentioned some of the city projects. Any more TIF, tax increment financing projects in the works?
Yeah, well,
streetscape stuff? So
part of the work that you're seeing on Federal Street is connected to TIF, but we're winding down on the activity that's related to I'll call it phase one of our TIF. If we want to go back and do more, we'd have to go through a process with voter approval to identify future TIF projects and so on. So you might recall that we had a 5-year window to do the project.
I was going to ask you that. And that deadline's not too far away, correct?
We're in the ballpark of that. So so it's been a busy few years. And so TIF has been a great boost to get us going. Without TIF, we continue to have interest in projects and developers interested in investing in the community. So we're not done.
What about you? I think you mentioned in the past, or some folks have farther down Lake Street, west on Lake Street, maybe some TIF work down that way. Or not? Am I dreaming that?
I was trying to think west on Lake Street. What you're?
I mean, just farther down, and the work obviously at the intersection now, just as you're heading to the bay.
So just as it relates to the Federal Street intersection in that area.
But anything beyond that planned or not?
No.
Okay, so this may be getting near the end of the TIF stuff.
Yeah, not to say that other work projects aren't envisioned. We think, for example, downtown about Kingman Street, and we've got conceptual plans in place of what it would be like to do the streetscape treatment, which I think would be fantastic. So, now the key is to figure out financing. So we've applied for, grant rounds and so on. Nothing's materialized just yet, but we'll continue at that. And, we've had good success in finding sources of revenue, but it's not easy, and I think a little bit harder these days. So we'll continue at it, and I just think it would be great to see Kingman Street have some of that treatment. It's fun to see events like the Kingman Street Classic.
Yeah, I didn't catch the classic.
Yeah. I always
they pulled it off.
It was
Kathy.
Was it on a Sunday?
Sketchy weather on Saturday.
I was confused because somebody said they saw it on Sunday, and I said Sunday.
So Sunday.
Saturday wasn't a terrible day.
It was hard to call though. You looked at the weather forecast.
So they called it early and put it off till Sunday.
And that's the type of thing.
Oh no, summer weather forecasts are tough to deal with.
Yeah.
I went down. They had a good turnout.
It was a huge turnout.
So they did put it off till Sunday.
Yeah. So Kate Manahan and all the volunteers that pulled that off and the sponsors did a lovely job, and good attendance. It was a fun event.
Interesting.
Yeah.
St. Albans Town Hall, Bruce, we've talked about that before. Again, just pondering the future of the town hall. Does it think it has a future? Does that remain to be seen?
Oh, sure. We
certainly have some issues there.
Yeah, we've formed a new committee, infrastructure committee, with some pretty good folks, and they're working on it pretty diligently right now.
Yeah.
It was our goal to see if we could have something on the ballot in March, but I don't know if we're going to be quite that aggressive. I think that might be asking a little bit too much, but we got some good folks working on that, and
presumably asking for some money to make some renovations there, or bigger question whether the future, that's the future. I think St. Albans Town Hall, or might it be elsewhere?
There are people who want to see it go either way. Yeah. But to me, the investments that we make in that building, it doesn't change the building itself. We don't have a lot of room for parking. We don't have we do have a functional septic system right now, but of course it's an above ground system that when it was built for 10 to 15 years, and we're getting close to the end of the lifespan on that. But I think the wisest thing to do would be to look at a new location.
Yeah. Anna, you're of course here every work day.
Anna loves the place. She doesn't want to leave.
Like, I mean, you know the place as well as anybody. What do you think? Is it still a pretty functional place, or do you think it's
becoming,
getting a little
it's becoming
long in
tight.
the teeth?
It's becoming tight only because of the vault space. We still have to keep paper records.
Yeah.
So we are running out of room.
That's definitely, and I've been hearing about that issue for years.
Yeah.
Didn't the city have the same issue, Liz?
Oh, it's similar to the city. I mean, that building has a lot of memories. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And some people are pretty fond of it, so to get them to change their minds is a pretty tough thing to do.
Yeah, although you did change the voting a few years ago after Collins Purley.
And I think everybody recognizes that now, that when are you going to get a new building?
Right.
And
so that issue, you get questions about that?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a matter, Richard, that if we don't do it, we're going to be forced into doing it, both the town hall and the DPW as well.
Probably my next question,
Yeah.
And again, DPW, anything, again, that's an issue that you keep looking at.
Well, we're going to be looking at it in 2 or 3 different ways.
Yeah.
You know, a standalone town hall, a town hall with DPW, a town hall with DPW, and probably the fire department. We're not sure.
Yeah.
What we got to do is we'd like to come up with a design and a scope of work for the public that's cost worthy and effective. But boy, that $1 million price tag isn't going to go away. I'll tell you, no matter what you do, you put it off and put it off. Cost of construction just keeps going up. And if we don't put it on the Brigham Road property, then we've got to purchase property to do that. So it's even getting more expensive.
And speaking of which, again, you've had, I guess, a couple of parties very interested in some or most of the acreage on Brigham Road. Anything more to report on that? You still, I think 2 parties still interested, or one more than the other, or just one?
I think what I can tell you, Richard, and I don't think it's, I'll get myself in trouble by saying this, is that all I can tell you is the property is under contract.
Oh, it is under contract. Okay, that's new news since I think last month.
Yeah.
Is there, is there a tentative closing date to nail that down? No. But under contract?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole property, Bruce?
Yes.
Or does some of the whole property?
Yeah.
Again, 55, 60 acres, something like that?
It's like 78 acres.
Oh, sorry, more.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're hopeful that that holds and the deal goes through?
Well, we're hopeful that a deal will go through.
I mean, is that to say? I assume there's agreement on the asking price. I assume if it's under contract.
We're agreeable on the asking price. There's some other things we got to tie together.
How likelier than not this holds together and happens?
Out of me, isn't he? Pardon me?
Likelier than not that this deal goes through?
Very likely.
Very likely?
Yeah.
Interesting. Again, live show if you're watching us live, folks. Love to get phone calls. 527-6449 is our number. Back to Public Works Garage again. So again, some of this hooks into whether the Brigham Road situation, whether you end up selling that property, obviously.
Yeah. Well, Richard, we need a new Public Works building for many reasons. It's just not because it sits on the lake, and we feel that, with the salt sheds that we have and everything, we might be contributing to a little bit of the contaminations in the water. Yeah. But, you're talking about longevity of equipment. We park equipment outside a lot, and the weather wears on it. And, even boosting the morale of the people we have working for us. I can't tell you how important it is, and you probably realize that, and Liz yourself, how important it is to put, people in the right environment to get a little bit more production out of them, have them, in the right frame of mind. I've done a lot of work at IBM and Intel and those places, and boy, that's what it was all about with space planners. There was so much to it, and getting productivity up.
What about, we've talked before, again, the current headquarters of the city police and fire department, definitely leaving something to be desired, maybe a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And one thought has been the Fonda Solo site.
That's could be a possibility. We're exploring some other possibilities. That weighs heavy for me. It's a long time in coming. The city council has named that as a priority. Staff is working on exploring a few possibilities, but to Bruce's point, it's important to have workplaces that are.
And the current headquarters, the city manager's had his said clearly outmoded. He might have used stronger language than that.
So I would really like to see us accomplish that as a project in the near future. So we're working on it. I don't have anything I can report on specifically yet, but it does weigh on my mind, and just continue to explore possibilities. We had, by the way, a great night last night, National Night Out, the celebration.
I was out of town. Had it been around, I would have caught that. How did that go?
Beautiful night, well attended. It's it's a really great event. We had, in addition to our public safety staff with equipment on display, grilling hot dogs and ice cream for kids and adults alike, a lot of the social service agencies were also on hand. So, really nice opportunity to connect with them. And the rec department has a presence there as well. But I have to tell you, I was so impressed last night. They had so many activities and so many kids engaged with the rec department counselors. It was just really nice fun. It was a good. And
it was a beautiful night in the Kingdom. Obviously, a beautiful summer night. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. So it's so good night. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's hard to beat this place. I mean, you take a look around at where we live. I mean, there's always something going on. I mean, between downtown St. Albans and the Bay Area, you can't beat this. I mean, this is a great place to live, great place to raise kids, and
it's not that we don't have issues that we need to deal with,
every
right?
town has,
every community does, and we've got some serious ones.
Yep. But we've all come so far, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's come so far. Yeah. Not only in the summer, but look at it in the winter. I mean, this is picturesque. Main Street is in the winter with the lights and everything. You drive down Main Street here, it really gets in a holiday mood.
And the skating rink in the Bay Park, I definitely look forward to that.
That's right.
Well, speaking of serious issues, I'm sure, after all these years, I'm sure you folks are prepared to reveal and disclose a breakthrough tonight on the wastewater issue that I'd love to talk about. It's in the middle. Anything to report on that front? You're talking, Bruce, I know you were at least talking once in a while with the city manager. Have you recommenced, or are you doing some talking once in a while?
There's a couple of issues that we're trying to straighten out amongst ourselves.
Of course, I realize the town's also looking at some of your own possible initiatives here.
I think we talked about that before. We have, let's say we have Plan A, Plan B, okay. But right now there's a couple of issues that we're trying to straighten out amongst ourselves before we go back to the town manager and the mayor. And we've been working on them, and we're almost at the point where we're going to be giving Dominic a call to see if we can have another sit down.
Yeah. So we remain open to these conversations, and if it's been decades in the making. If it takes a little bit more time right now to have the time and the space for our friends in the town.
One of the things that slowed us down a little bit is we've got a couple of new board members now, and people, of course, have their own opinions as to how things should be and how they'd like to see things. So. Like I say, we got some things to work out, and
in the meantime, we don't have a moratorium right now, so we're able to approve.
You're doing better. Again, that you certainly got. I mean, there was certainly a lot of controversy about that. The affiliation fee, the successor to that, didn't seem exactly to be winning a ton of praise from developers and maybe the town. Do you think you're in a better place post-moratorium? You're clearly doing better with the moratorium gone.
Yeah,
it just seemed like the successor initiative wasn't winning a ton of praise from some quarters.
Actually, there were some detractors, but it's in place. It's working. We're issuing permits again. So I feel like maybe there was a little bit more concern about the issuance of new permits than was warranted.
Bruce, your thoughts on that?
Every time somebody goes for water in the town to the city, their request comes to the town Selectboard first, and we haven't disapproved anything that's been before us. I mean, there's no needing it. I mean, if these people are willing to pay the price, then who are we to say no?
And I think we designed something that we designed it to be what we thought was a fair and reasonable price. Now people can differ with that, but it wasn't an arbitrary number. We thought it would be reasonable and it wouldn't thwart growth.
In saying that, it sure would be nice to do away with all of it and just have an agreement that we can just, we're not looking at thousands of dollars to buy water as individuals.
Liz, how city voters, I guess in March, approved the $18 million, I think, bond on the wastewater plant?
Yep.
Is work underway on that? Is that
No, not, well, yes, work, but not in the sense of construction. Still some planning work.
Talking big project, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it'll be going into 2018, and I'm not sure if there'll be some follow-up in 19.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer to that. So yeah, that's important work, and another big project.
And what about fire department? I'm sorry, Bruce, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I think 2018 is going to be a big year for both the city and the town.
Yay.
And we've got the starting off with the marina. The marina is going to start next spring. I mean, they kind of missed the market this year.
Were they hoping to get some work done this year?
Well, they're getting everything done this year.
They're working on the surface parking right across from the air course.
Yeah, they're getting everything done this year in preparations to open the gates early spring.
And that's the plan.
That's the plan. Yeah. Okay. So with that and with some more improvements that we're going to make in the bay, hopefully we're going to be doing something with the dock real soon. It's either we're going to continue to use it as a dock, or we're going to say, okay, it's no longer a dock, it's a pier. You know what I mean? Either way, I think is pretty good. And I've got some ideas that I'm going to be sharing with the Selectboard at our next meeting pertaining to the dock. We've got another survey going on. Structural engineers taking a look at it, this time from the bottom up, to see what it's going to take to actually put a load on that thing. Because we're trying to bring it up, I think, to 103.
Oh, really?
And we got to find out what the subsurface is and what the quality of that is before we do anything like that. But the problem is that once you do that, and you have a low lake level, I mean, you've got 3 or 4 feet between the top of the dock and the.
Flash back to late summer in October again. I checked it the other day. Lake got down to about 93.4, about a foot above its all-time record low. And
in the other hand, we're going to have a brand new marina right next door to us.
Yeah.
Do we want to try to compete with Chuck? I don't think so. That's why I'm thinking about myself personally, thinking what we could do to make this, to improve it and make it a good pier.
But the marina's looking very solid at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
They're still a permit or two they need? Are they in pretty good shape permit-wise?
Oh, the permits, they've got them all.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway. And that's playing to Anna. You get many folks asking about it. Now we have a call. We'll maybe come back to the marina. Thank you, caller. Fire away. You're on St. Albans Today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Henry, I was just thinking about you.
Well, you started talking about the marina and dock, and you caught my attention.
Hey, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me ask you this, sir. This is about the bay. Has anybody come to you and asked and said to you that underneath what used to be called the Black Bridge, there was a channel there that ran from the marsh way out into the bay? And years and years and years ago, that channel at one time was at 12 feet. And now you can walk across there and not get your ankles wet, usually in the summertime. I'm sorry, I got my scanner going.
Can you kill your scanner?
Hang on.
As interested as I am in knowing what's going on.
It's a scanner, I'm sorry. The big thing is, has anybody said anything about dredging that channel out?
No, that hasn't been a top of topic of discussion at all, sir.
I would think that would help the water quality a great deal if there was a channel like there used to be. I mean, we didn't have blue-green algae down to the bay 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. I understand that there's been more people around the bay. There's more people. There's more traffic. There's a lot of different things that it's causing this. But that channel would let the water flow back and forth. There used to be a current strong enough that you could throw a 1-ounce sinker into that channel, and it would be underneath the bridge. That's what kind of a current used to be right there at that bridge. And that water quality was perfect back then. I just wish that somebody would take the time and think about what they're doing. If they're going to spend all kinds of damn money, do something that's going to be worth doing. And that is to open up that channel, let the water flow the way it's supposed to flow. I'm not an educated person by any means, but I believe that that water wouldn't have got this way had the sand not been through the years been pushed up into the north end of the bay. That's why the water quality is as bad as it is. I think having a channel will allow it to flow out.
Well, you could be correct. But it's something at this point we haven't investigated at all, or I don't believe we have.
Okay, and I heard you say that something that you were having done at the dock. You were having geologists or somebody.
No, engineers.
Engineers, okay. And when do you think you'll do something on the dock? I know it's not going to be this year, but...
Well, we're hoping next year.
Yeah? Okay. I thank you very much. I'll get off the phone. Thank you.
Thanks, you.
Henry.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Again, our number 527-6449. Mayor Liz, what about the Hardack St. Albans City merger? Has that happened?
It's not finalized. It's headed there. I would describe it as informally we're operating in the way that we will once the agreement is signed, and I expect that to happen fairly soon.
Are there any issues holding that up? No.
Yeah, just working its way through the organization. So it is very exciting. I think it's a great example of where, working with the Hardack organization, with the city's resources and support, we can really do more together than either organization could do on its own. It frees up the Hardack organization to focus on what they do well, which is can be programmatic recommendations and fundraising. The city's got the staffing and we can run the finances and so on for Hardack. I'm really excited. The news, I'm going to get this acronym wrong, the collegiate track, the AA, is it AA? What am I trying to say?
I mean, is it NCAA?
No, that's basketball,
sorry,
right?
not the big, sorry.
The big track event that.
But which was huge news.
Yeah. So you know what? It's great to see.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't think of the acronym.
Not helping, I guess.
Alphabet soup. Anyway,
Hardack will be the site for this.
Yeah. So we're really thrilled about that.
Cool. That's big news.
Yeah, and again, to one of the points that Bruce was making earlier, we do have a lot of positive stuff going on. Yeah. I get the opportunity to travel throughout the state during doing the work of my day job, and I really do think we are fortunate in this area that we have a lot of community support, buy-in. Support of one another as community members, and we're able to get things done. Not every community has that, so I'm really grateful that we're able to make progress, and I think it makes us stronger, and able to tackle the challenges that come our way more easily when we're able to work together. And I think we're increasingly, we continue on that vein, city and town, and that makes me really happy.
Back to Harnack for one of the side issues on kind of a background issue at this point is if the merger goes through, it sounds like it certainly will, a possibility that there might be, or some interest in building a second skating rink, ice rink, hockey rink, whatever, at Hardack.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing some folks, some of the Collins Pearly hearing on the other side, concerned that, boy, a second rink is going to kill the business, would hurt Collins Pearly. You must be picking up.
I'm hearing both arguments on both sides.
Have you got any feel for that argument for a second rink?
I'm keeping my ear close to that. Like I say, I've heard both sides. I think one of the things to think about is, what the impact will be, but what will the impact be? There will be an impact on Collins Pearly, but also what does it mean for the community members who have children participating, and it's hard to get rink time, and parents waking up awfully early. Just one of the issues I'm hearing, that
kids, I remember just in my state tech days long ago, some of the kids, 4th, 5th graders and stuff would be there when school opened, having just come off, just gotten in from practice at whatever, 6 a.m. or something.
So, I think we need to, when we're taking positions on this, understand, what the pros and the cons are. So I'm in a listening mode right now. And but I do hear a lot of talk from families who are tired sometimes by having to get up real early, or
in some cases who would love to see a second rink, obviously, and just some more time.
I also can see it from the Collins Pearly perspective too.
Bruce, any thoughts on that, or Anna for that matter?
My kids played hockey, so I certainly understand. I mean, there were mornings that you got up at 4 o'clock and you were on the ice at 5 and to school at 7.
Wow.
So, I mean,
we didn't say hockey in our household when our kids were younger and they went into other sports. That's quite a commitment for hockey parents.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
And it draws a lot of people.
Yeah, it does.
Your hotel will be filled.
How's the hotel faring, Liz?
Yeah, so let's see, we're a couple months in, and my understanding is they've had some times where they've been sold out, which I think is just really encouraging. And I think things are going well. Like I said, we see new faces in town. People discovering St. Albans. Having a hotel like the Hampton Inn that has the national branding, I think is a real boon for us. So not only are we doing what we do to try to get the word out on maybe a smaller scale, having that national exposure is really helpful. And it's great to see local people working in the Hampton Inn. It's providing jobs. And also, my experience going in is folks are so friendly. They know the area. They're from our area, so I think they make the guests feel really welcome.
They can explain it.
Yeah.
This issue goes back years, but early on, out at Exit 19, I think, from what is now La Quinta Inn, when the motel showed up out there, hotel, whatever, there was an expectation, I think, that a restaurant would show up next door. Guess what? Never happened. Did you hear anything? There was rumors about a Denny's a few years ago.
Right.
I don't know if they were solid rumors, but boy, what do I know about the restaurant business? Nothing, but this seems like such an obvious good site, but what do I know?
It sure does, and we've heard nothing.
So
absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
I would think a restaurant down near Walmart would do well, but nothing.
And that was my next question. So Walmart, no noise about
not a peep
about anybody setting up shop next to Walmart.
Nothing whatsoever.
Interesting. Fire department merger, where is that? Is that still progressing? That certainly has been in the news last maybe month or two, Liz. Is that?
The departments are working well together, although it's in similar vein to Hardack. I don't think we've gotten to the point where we've formalized.
Nothing's been signed on the dotted line there.
The departments are working well together, as they will in the future.
I think they're progressing pretty well, but a late caution that there is a ton of logistics that we'll have to go over before that'll actually take place.
You think, but you think it's heading? Would you think at this point it'll happen? Likelier than not to happen at some point.
The city and the town fire departments. I mean, both fire departments, and I correct me if I'm mistaken by saying this. I don't believe I am. Are both in concurrence that they would like to see it happen, or the majority of them. Let's say
that's my understanding.
Yeah. So again, with the town, we like to keep the voters informed on everything that's going on. And I do really believe that the final word on that will be a voter's decision.
You've been town clerk and treasurer for quite a while. You've been in town hall for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you run into different issues? I mean, are taxes obviously one of the issues you're obviously dealing with, or people? Do you get the feeling people are generally more hard pressed these days than years past, or not? Not really.
For the past 2 years, our tax rate has decreased.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, folks are happy. Yeah.
You know, and that's what's really nice, Richard, is that the town of St. Albans is actually a wealthy town. You know, we're doing very well. Anna can contest to that.
On that positive note, let's grab another call. Bruce. Go ahead, call. You're on St. Albans Today.
Oh, yes. Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I am a taxpayer of the town and the city. I had a question for the mayor, if I could, please.
Sure.
Okay, I have a property on Brook Street, and I've noticed, quite frankly, the sidewalks and the curbs look like a third world country. And with people up on that street that are attempting to put their houses up for sale, I was concerned about the condition of the curb and sidewalk, and wanted to know if you knew anything about it.
Sure. I share your concern, as do the voters in the city of St. Albans. So you may recall that we recently passed with strong support of community members a bond for about $5 million to rehabilitate the sidewalks in the worst condition in the city. It's a multi-year project. This is the first year. So we really got very far behind on maintaining our sidewalks, and it's not a quick fix. The sidewalk project will span several years. We started this year primarily on the west side of St. Albans for a couple of reasons, and one of them is logistically and cost-wise more effective to concentrate on a particular area initially. So with the thought that next year we'll move to the east side. I wish we could do it all at once. It's just not logistically or financially feasible to take it on that way. So,
absolutely, I understand, and thank you very much for answering my question.
Sure. So, and I'll just, another note, just so you know about process. What happens in the springtime before construction season is the council's Committee on Quality of Life Issues meets with city staff, and they review the condition of the sidewalks, and then they're able to identify which are most in need, and we invite public input to that process, and in addition they go out and they tour the sidewalks, so they're seeing it firsthand. So I encourage you to reach out to your city councilor, which would be Kate Laddison, and I can pass on your concern as well.
Oh, wonderful, I'll do that, and I'll look forward to the south end getting some work done.
Yeah, I'm eager to, every time we see the improvements in the sidewalks, it's so meaningful. And, you raise a really important point about, what it means to maintain our neighborhoods, how it impacts the value of our homes, and also just the ability to get out and, to walk the streets, to be healthy and getting exercise. So I think sidewalks matter a lot.
Oh, absolutely, and I would encourage you to take a look. Possibly walk it yourself too.
Yeah.
My family was in the sidewalk and curb business, and there's some real safety issues that should be addressed?
Yeah, I try to walk around the city, and I will make it a point in the not too distant future to revisit Rugg Street.
Well, I really appreciate it. I want to tell you quickly that the neighbor and I were looking to sell our houses, and to look at the condition of the landscape and the street all comes into perspective.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be able to get the price we should for the house if the streets aren't looking proper.
Right. We so one of the things where we've been really fortunate to be able to start shifting our focus is to neighborhood improvements. We started our revitalization effort downtown, which has enabled us to invite investment and build our tax base, which has been great. And now we're at a point where, with the sidewalks and with other initiatives, we're able to move into the neighborhoods. So we really welcome neighborhood feedback on what you see as needs. Many people talk about trees. For example, now we've got a host of older trees that are sometimes limbs coming down and so on, so we need to make sure we're maintaining trees and replacing them if they have to come down. I hate to see trees come down. We've been starting to replant trees. So if you see things like that, give us a call at City Hall, 524-1500. We'd love to get the feedback.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, caller.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right.
Again, our number, 527-6449.
Richard, on the subject of neighborhoods.
Yeah. That's because I hear that criticism once in a while. Hey, nice that downtown's getting so much attention. What about the neighborhoods?
Yeah, there was a method to the madness on that. And as I mentioned, by focusing first on economic revitalization, it's put us in a position where we can do more in the neighborhoods. So it's really exciting to be at that stage. We've had some really good success this year also dealing with some distressed and blighted properties. You might be familiar with the property on Diamond Street that maybe about 2 years ago or so was actually given to the city. It went into foreclosure. The bank had it for a while and gave it to us. We were able to...
BFA Building Trades I took over.
This is such a great project. We were able to build a new... home that fit in with the character of the neighborhood, involving the BFA students, so they're learning great skills. I was able to go to an open house, I don't know, a month or 2 months ago, and talk to some of the students, and it's a great project. A family is moving in. I think we may have closed on it this morning. It was scheduled for a closing this morning. The students learn these great skills. In talking to them, one was going on to, he was a senior graduating and was going, as I recall, to apprentice school to be, I think, an electrical line worker. Another one was going to Clarkson for engineering studies. I think another one had some interest in plumbing. But they all could talk with a lot of knowledge about the project and the different components of it. So I'd love to see more collaborative projects like that, where, not only are we improving the neighborhood, so the neighbors are happier, it feels safer, it's kept up, but we're also, kind of making it a double win when students are able to gain skills. Okay.
And you talk to tons of people, and people love to complain. Do more people complaining about stuff to you than saying, "Oh boy, you guys are doing such a great job with this or that"? And
the biggest complaint I've heard this week, it's a great question, is they want to start a list so their names are not sent to Washington, D.C. They don't want their voting records.
Oh, the voting record issue. Oh, wow.
So maybe it's something.
Is that right? So a number of people have mentioned that?
5 people call, yeah.
Well, it sounds like this state has some serious concerns about that.
Yeah, he's
Secretary of State.
Secretary of Jim Condos, and of course the Attorney General T.J. Donovan.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. So that's come up a few times.
They want their name on a list. So.
They do or do not.
They don't want their.
Right.
Yeah.
What about
in some communities, in other parts of the country, people are taking themselves off
the voter check.
Because of that.
Yeah.
It's just a tough deal trying to prevent people from getting into your personal information.
Of course, this gets back to the concern, I guess, such as it is with the Trump administration about voter fraud, throwing out vast numbers of. You picking up any concern at all in St. Albans Town about voter fraud?
None whatsoever.
Have you ever had? Has there been one issue that rose to some level of concern for you?
No,
Not one.
No.
Interesting. Bruce, same thing. Liz, nothing you've ever picked up on.
Thank God.
Small communities.
Everybody knows everybody.
You tend to know these.
I know somebody's going to come in. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Like, no, you're not.
Right. And so, what about town issues? The biggest complaints you hear about local issues would be what, if any? Nobody ever complaining about anything?
I mean, it always used to be taxes, but that's calmed down, I think, with the Union School District
Really?
Merger. Yeah, and we're able to level fund our budget. So.
Liz, certainly the city's municipal tax-wise has been pretty good. I mean, fairly pretty close to level funding. Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. Federal Street Extension, obviously the work ongoing at Federal, Catherine, and Lake Streets. Beyond that, anything visible happening on Federal Street Extension?
That we're really glad to be doing that work. Of course, we have visions to go far beyond that, but part of that requires getting funding to do that. So we're working to apply for federal grants and other types of grants, but nothing secured.
And the intersection mentioned that will remain it'll be a four-way stop intersection. Which, as I said, I sure think is working infinitely better than its predecessor situation.
We're getting a lot of that feedback, and it's it's so interesting too. Just to
working way better than I would have guessed, but it seems to be working pretty well.
I think it surprised many of us that it worked so well.
It's safer.
Interesting. Right, I hated that intersection.
Yeah.
I look forward to pavement again down there, but I'm sure that will come in time.
It's coming.
Bruce, an issue, I think the Messenger had a story, possibility of, is it Thorpe Ave or Thorpe Ave Extension with an intersection maybe on what they call the St. Albans State Highway? Is that, I didn't dream that. Didn't I just see a story on that? Anna, does that mean anything to you?
The interstate access?
The interstate access road and either Thorpe Ave or Thorpe Ave Extension maybe being able to come into, or did I dream that?
Well, what we're trying to do, I don't know if this is in a paper or not, but we're trying to help out the people over at Gracebrook.
I know, okay.
And one of the
that connects to it.
Yeah, one of the ideas that we had was to take a road out of Gracebrook onto the ramp road.
Okay.
As an entrance.
Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
So that's actually actively being pursued right now.
And the state's not rejecting that out of hand.
No. We hired an engineer to take a look at it, or scope and cost. And the only reason we did that is because we got a feeling that the state would go along with it if it was designed properly.
Huh. And again, there's been concern on at least some of the folks who live in the Gricebrook development, just I guess unhappy with the road out to 104.
Yeah, but that's kind of a personal thing.
Okay.
I believe that's kind of between them and the developer.
Okay. Although some folks wanted the town to take over that road, and you've at least looked into that. Is that a possibility?
We could take over the road. Number one, it has to meet DOT standards, so it'd have to be brought up to standards before we take it over.
And it's not there, and that would be some work to bring it up to standards.
I don't believe it's there right now. And the other thing is that we'd have to be given a right of way. All right, which I am not going to talk for the developer, but that was something that was discussed, and the other thing was to see if we could get them out of their development onto the ramp road without going up onto that stretch of road that runs off of 104.
Anyway, so that's but the state at least seems open to that.
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Anna, you got a quick last word for us? Good to have you on the show. Good to see you.
It's nice to be here. It's good to see you.
So the town's doing okay?
Town's doing great.
In your professional view?
I thought I was going to hear some good radio stories.
Some good radio. Boy, maybe next time. Love to have Anna back sometime. Liz, a few seconds. Any quick last word here? Very quick.
Everyone enjoy the summer, and feel free to reach out to me, the city councilors, or to City Hall, 524-1500, to provide feedback, suggestions. We'd love to hear from you.
Very good. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Liz Gamache, St. Albans veteran, St. Albans Town Clerk Treasurer Anna Bourdon, and Bruce Cheeseman, the St. Albans Town Selectboard Chair.
My pleasure,
Thanks
Richard.
for your time.
Yep.
Thanks for the calls, and thanks to Joanne for doing all the hard work as usual back there. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next month here on St. Albans Today. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See ya.